I'd like to call to order the village board meeting of Monday, March 5th, 2017. We'll open with a silent prayer or meditation. Please join me in Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Mayor Berman?
Here.
Trustee Gafino? Here. Trustee Lowry?
Here.
Trustee Curtis? Here. Trustee Carroll?
Here.
Trustee Gately?
Here.
The first item of business is a public hearing from the Kane-DuPage Soil and Water Conservation District, the National Pollution Discharge Elimination System. That's MPDES.
Hey, Tom.
Is there anyone here to speak of the
Mayor, if I could just introduce the hearing and introduce our representative from Kane County DuPage Soil Water Conservation District. This is just an annual reporting requirement of our NPDES permit. The permit governs over water quality within the village, and Ashley Kern's here today to field any questions that the public or the village board members might have regarding our program and water quality issues in general.
Very good.
Any questions?
Is there any questions?
Nope.
I don't believe there is. Thank you much for your effort.
Thank you.
So I declare our public hearing closed. Are there any audience comments? No one signed up. Trustee comments? Consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. All those in, excuse me, clerk call the roll.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Gafino?
Yes.
And under new business, item number 1, Mr. Toth.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 1 is an ordinance granting a special use to allow a drive-through facility at 24 South Lincoln Way in the B3 Central Business District. This item was before the village board on December 18th at the committee of the whole level, where the concept plan was presented. It was favorably met by the village board. There was some discussion about the ground mechanical screening, which is a condition of the ordinance. This was for a public hearing on February 6th before the Plan Commission. They were discussing the drive circulation, both internal and external to the site, but it was deemed that it was the optimal site plan layout, and the Plan Commission unanimously recommended approval of the special use. And I know the business operator is here tonight if there are any questions or he has any questions of the village board. That's it.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Discussion. Any questions of the,
I just think it's
Developer?
an excellent spot for it.
I think we've all in favor of the,
Yeah.
addition to our community in addition to Route 31, and we
Yeah.
wish them all the best. No other discussion. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Gafino?
Yes.
And item number 2, Mr. Toth.
Item number 2 is an ordinance approving the site plan for the property located at 24 South Lincoln Way. Code requires site plan approval for new commercial structures to accompany the special use. This is up for site plan approval as well.
Motion approved.
Second.
Discussion. Clerk call the roll, please.
Trustee Gafino?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
And Trustee Gately?
Yes.
All right, item number 3, Mr. Hannah.
Thank you. Item number three is approval of a resolution approving a proposal from Lauterbach and Amon for auditing services. As the board is aware, the most recent agreement with Sikich expired. We went out and issued an RFP. Through that RFP process, we identified 3 most qualified firms, Lauterbach and Amon being one of those firms. Their proposal was discussed at the Government Operations Committee last month, and at that time it was deemed to be recommended for consideration by the full village board. So at this time I'd like to recognize Matt Barron. He's the operations manager with Lauterbach and Amon. He's here just to introduce himself and a little bit about the firm Lauterbach and Amon.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for having me tonight. As Bill said, I'm Matt Barron, an audit partner. I oversee the operations of the audit department as a whole. Just a little bit about Lauterbach and Amon. We've been around for 21 years. We're located right down the road in Naperville right now. We had just moved from Warrenville just this past year over to Naperville. So what our firm is all about, it's all about government. All we do is government. All of our staff, all of our managers, everybody we have at the firm, all we do is government. It's our focus. We have about 200 audit clients that we do our audits for. Let's see, I think we're up to 60 to 70 municipalities at this point in time that we do our audits. So we have a very niche that this is all we focus on year-round, specialty expertise in the government arena. And our focus year-round is on the needs of what our government clients are looking for.
Any questions
No.
on that? Well, I noticed you had several employees on your staff from Northern Illinois University. I didn't check you, Matt, to see.
Yeah, we do have quite a few. Especially more recently, we've been recruiting at Northern Illinois as our firm's been growing. We've been finding that campus has a lot of very good students as well, so we've been
Very
hitting
good.
them up for interns and new hires.
Very good, we'll keep track of it. Do we have a motion to approve it?
Motion approved.
Second.
Discussion. No other questions of Matt? All right, very good. Discussion?
No.
Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis? Yes. Trustee Lowry? And
Yes.
Trustee Gafino?
Yes.
Very good, sir. That's it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
we look
you.
forward to working with you.
Thank you. Oh, item number 4, Mr. Bosco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 4 is an ordinance amending the North Aurora Municipal Code regarding liquor license classifications. This item was before the Operations Committee last month. I'm going to try to give you a very quick summary of what it is. And in front of you, I put a chart on your dais right now, so that'll help you go through this. Basically, what we did was we reclassified all of our existing liquor license classifications for 3 reasons. One, we wanted to classify them by use as opposed to just letter. Some towns do that, so instead of an A, B, C, or D, all of a sudden you have an actual name attached to it. So restaurant license, liquor store, gas station, so you know exactly what use that is, and then it's better defined within that classification. The second thing is we've had in the last 4 or 5 years a large number of businesses that have wanted to come into North Aurora, questioning about the opportunity to put video gaming parlors in the village, and it's been my understanding from the board when we've had conversations that really wasn't something the board wanted, was the parlors that pop up and put in 5 machines and don't really serve any food except for pre-made sandwiches and warming up pizzas. So what we did was, and they've become more creative, so a lot of these groups are coming in now with different concepts, trying to make it more of a bar restaurant, a wine bar. So what we finally said was, if the board wants a restaurant to be to allow video gaming, you have to be a restaurant, then let's define restaurant. So what we did is, after we broke away the classifications, class A, B, and C are now large restaurant, small restaurant, and limited restaurant. So just quickly, the definition of a restaurant is essentially somewhere that has a certain number of seating, and I'll get to that in a second, a full-time cook, and a actual commercial kitchen of sorts on premises. And in a large restaurants, for instance, you would need, in a multi-tenant building, 75 seats to be considered a large restaurant. You would need 125 seats if you were in a standalone building, and then video gaming would be allowed. In a small restaurant, you still need the 125 for a standalone and the 75 for a multi-tenant building, but there's a provision that allows, let's say, some of our existing businesses that have only room for about 50 seats, and there are a few, they would still be able to qualify for video gaming, but they would have to be in business for 2 years first, continuously, basically establishing that they are, in fact, a restaurant, and then they would be allowed to video game. So if they didn't meet that 75 requirement, they could still have it. They just have to be in business for 2 years. So some of our existing businesses already would qualify. And then Class C would be a restaurant that's just limited to beer and wine. And then if you skip all the way down to Class L, there is a tavern license, which is new. We only have one business that falls within that category and definition. But if another tavern came in and met that definition, they would have to be in business for 2 full years before they can also video game. But the way that definition is written, you have to be an existing tavern for 5 years to qualify for that license. So essentially, the board has control to whether or not to ever grant another bar without restaurant component to it into the community. That being said, we've also added new liquor license classifications for hotel motel, which is something we talked about a couple of years ago when a hotel wanted to come in and they said they were interested in liquor. We know we have another hotel being built right now that's interested in having a license. We have a new caterer license for businesses that actually do catering primarily, and if someone wants to rent a caterer to come out and provide food, maybe they can also provide bar service at a wedding or something like that at somebody's house or some other venue. That being said, the only other thing that changed is we did, with the changes, we did do a slight change in the pricing. So you'll see in front of you the current prices by class and roughly what they'll go up or down. For the most part, they stayed pretty level. They did go up a little bit in certain categories, but that was because we wanted to balance it between what we thought one license was getting more than the other. So for instance, we did break out, the last thing I'll say before I confuse this too much, is we did break out liquor stores, and we used to have just a liquor store license, but then it always ran into the issue of grocery and retail. So CVS, Aldi, Walgreens, they might want to provide liquor, but they don't provide liquor on the same scale as a standalone liquor store or a Woodman's Wood, which has a large retail space for liquor. It just happens to be attached to a grocery store. So what we did was we broke the liquor stores into 3 categories. Standalone liquor stores, which could be part of a multi-tenant building or its own building. Large, so once again, that could be part of a multi-tenant or a standalone, but it's got to meet a certain square footage. And then the smaller retail packaged goods, which would be more of your Aldi's, which maybe only has a couple shelves of beer and wine only. I know that's a lot to take in, so if there's any questions, please let me know. I did notice one thing that, if I can amend it, I don't like amending things at the dais, but I noticed, Kevin, that we did not add video gaming allowable at the brewery license, and that probably should be, because that would meet the definition of a restaurant. So if the board wants to do that, can you guide them on how to make that motion to include that? So right now, as it's written, hardware would not be allowed to have video gaming, but we all know that that meets the definition of a restaurant because of the seating and everything that they have there. So if that's something the board would like to do, we would add that in.
We can add that in. I'll make a motion to make the amendment.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
A discussion of the
On the amendment. No.
amendment?
Yeah.
Shall we vote on the amendment?
Yeah.
Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
And back to,
Gafino, I'm sorry.
and back to discussion on the motion. Any other further discussion?
Too many more.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Clerk call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry? And
Yes.
Trustee Gavino.
Yes.
All right, item number 5, Mr. Bosco.
Thank you very much. Item number 5 is the adoption of our strategic plan. So in front of you tonight is the strategic plan that the board worked on at the workshop in November, and staff did the final touches, put the action steps in. You saw it at the committee of the whole.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Capino?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
And Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Good. Item 6, Mr. Bosco.
Thank you. Item 6 is the adoption of the village's first vision statement. The only change I wanted to point out is at the last committee of the whole meeting, the village board had picked the vision statement of an attentive municipal organization that connects with nature, community, and commerce. When staff went back after that, we looked at it, and when we had wordsmithed that internally, we immediately said we should have put community first because that's what we stand for. So what we're recommending tonight is to keep the vision statement, but just reword the last three words to say this: an attentive municipal organization that connects with community, commerce, and nature. And if that's agreeable, then we'll go with that. Otherwise, we can go back to the original.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
And Trustee Capino?
Yes.
Item number 8, Mr. Leskowski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 8 is a rate sheet. So what we do periodically when we have professional services from our village engineer or our village attorney is when their rates are proposed to go up, we bring them to the board so you're aware, because obviously we have ongoing work that's done periodically. So basically, Kevin Drundel's office is asking for a small raise from $170 per hour to $175. I'd like to point out that's about a 2.9% increase. He hasn't raised rates in 2 years, since 2016. More importantly, that's a substantial reduction of what his actual hourly rate is. That's our municipal rate, which is almost half, cut in half for us. So that being said, that's all the attorneys as well in his office would abide by that municipal rate. So with that, I'd be looking for a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Second.
Discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
Trustee Capino?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
I should point out that Attorney Drendel, comparative to other towns, is on the lower end of his hourly rate.
Now, item number 8, Mr. Leskowski.
Thank you, Mayor. If you recall, the village had scheduled to have 2 wells drilled this year. This is the second letting for well number 8. Similar to the well number 9 that was let, the same companies that were bidding on that one also bid on that one, which isn't unexpected because there's a limited amount of companies that actually can drill to the depths that we're requesting. The bid prices that we received were higher than the previous letting. However, looking at the prices, I still think the ones that we have today are reasonable. The price of drilling this well came in $145,000 higher than the previous, and I think that's based on the conversations the consulting engineer had with the 3 companies bidding. It's a reasonable price because each company bids the projects based on the availability of labor, and in this case, 2 of the companies didn't have their equipment and their labor available. They were off on other jobs, so one of the firms that actually won the previous bid offered a no bid in this instance. Additionally, the seasonal weather conditions play into the cost of drilling a well, as do the price of raw materials. With steel being a strong component of this project, that price may be even more volatile in the future. At this time, Lane Christensen Company was the company that offered the lowest bid this time. They perform our well maintenance on all of our wells right now and have drilled wells in town successfully in the past. So the bid that was offered, I should indicate, is in line with the consulting engineer's estimate of $771,690. The price actually came in $2,000 lower. So I think instead of looking at getting a much higher price this time, this is probably more likely the market average. The previous bid that we received, I think Water Well Solutions was pretty aggressive with their price because they wanted to get their foot in the door and do some work and demonstrate their abilities here in North Aurora. So At this time, taking a look at the prices we received, it's a staff recommendation to award the contract to Lane Christensen Company in the amount of $769,662.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion.
Is the well being drilled in the summer, or what time of year?
We received the bids in on the 21st, so we're going to start as soon as we can get them going. So I'd say probably next month we'd have the pre-construction meeting, get all the documents executed, and then the following month maybe begin the site work and drilling of the well.
So the weather conditions are not optimum either.
Right.
Yeah, ground is harder.
Yes.
In that perspective, we actually have a other well that had the bid, and they haven't really started yet either because of the weather. So, but they're getting pretty close, aren't they, John?
They started today.
Today. Oh, there you go.
Very good. Any other discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Covino?
Item number 9, John.
This item is the award of a bid for lawn mowing and landscaping maintenance throughout the village in the SSAs and in the publicly owned properties. This project is typically let in two components in the past. So there'd be a separate contract for SSA mowing and a separate contract for mowing public property, including Riverfront Park and Memorial Park and right-of-ways along village-owned highways. So in this instance, we actually came back with 7 bids. 13 people originally picked up the documents. The prices came in very good. Acres Group submitted the lowest bid in the amount of $40,356. They have done work in town before. They have done our tree planting program, and you may also see their trucks out doing the, when we checked references, they also work in the Chesterfield subdivision, doing the mowing of the common areas for the Chesterfield HOA, as well as the right-of-ways for Randall Road. So they do have experience. They're a larger company in town. It should be pointed out, though, with this bid that the prices of the public property mowing went down. The prices for the SSAs increased a little bit. However, the overall total bids still were lower than what we received last year. We do have $45,000 in the budget for this in the upcoming year, and right now the bid's coming in at $40,356. So I'm making the recommendation here to award the bid to Acres Group for lawn mowing and landscape maintenance in the amount of $40,356.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee Lowry?
Yes.
Trustee Covino?
Yes.
Trustee Curtis?
Yes.
Trustee Carroll?
Yes.
Trustee Martinez?
Yes.
And Trustee Gately?
Yes.
Very good. I have no old business, nothing to report from the village president. Committee reports?
No.
Trustee comments? Mr. Bosco?
No report tonight, thank you.
Mr. Attorney?
No report.
Fire District not here. Our department reports, Finance, Mr. Hannah.
No additional report tonight, sir.
Community Development, Mr. Toth.
Yeah, back in February, the village board discussed the sale of the property Orchard Gateway. Not to get into specifics, but there was a bid solicitation for that property which expired today. We did not receive any actual bids for the property itself, so we're going to be presenting a contract to the village board most likely at the next meeting for that property. Also, too, the Plan Commission public hearing for tomorrow is for the Fox Valley Golf Course and the D.R. Horton development, so we expect a big turnout tomorrow.
Very good. Any questions of either? Chief Fisher is not available. Public Works, Mr. Laskowski.
I just mentioned that we are having some weather now, so please be careful on your ride home tonight. I think it was mentioned that maybe we are salting already outside, so.
I was signaling to mention the community sign.
Oh, the community sign. Oh, our community sign's finished.
Looks
You
great.
gonna take the sawhorses down, or?
Sawhorses are down, yeah,
They are
as
down
of today.
Okay, good.
And we moved the modem the company moved the modem off the top of the LED boards, and they mounted it to the side where it's less noticeable.
Well, I think they could have made a fox out of it or something and put it up there on top. All right, we have no executive session. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? We're adjourned. Committee of the whole meeting starting shortly.